Hello, everyone. How's everything going? It's your boy Metro Coder here, coming in with some tech updates from the industry. And just really quickly, the topics that we're going to go over is Instagram. If you're a user, you've seen these new features, especially when you're checking your DMs. We're going to talk about those new updates. We're also going to talk about Sam Bankman-Fried, the FTX, and potentially other crypto exchanges facing some issues as well. So this looks like it's going to be a reoccurring theme until there's some regulation involved, but we'll get into that. Also, the U.S. Senate passing a bill to ban TikTok. That's a big one as well. We've been talking about data privacy and data security for some time now, and now it's looking like the government is bipartisan on this thing here. So we'll get into that in detail. Also, Apple SOS on the iPhone 14, that's free for 2 years. Also, we're going to get into depth on that topic. Somebody actually dove off of a cliff and was saved via helicopter. Very exaggerated, but that's some other exciting news. Then we have Lensa, Lensa, this AI application that pretty much you upload some pictures and you're going to get some artistic rendering of it. And we're going to talk about the ethics of that, specifically how it's impacting artists negatively. And no, not the way that you're thinking of, oh, they're generating art, but where are they getting this inspiration from, this AI? Also, and finally, Elon Musk gets a little frustrated, shuts down a feature in Twitter. So let's get into it, people. So Instagram's new update. I'm going to share my screen just so that way y'all can see the update from their website direct from the horse's mouth. All right, so here we go. We have directly from Meta's website, Instagram's new sharing features on Instagram, which is notes. That's what they have currently released, and they have group profiles, which is actually something that I'm pretty excited about. Groups. That way, people come across your group, and there you go. You can start chatting with like-minded individuals on a particular topic. But for right now, they have notes released. Notes is just a simple feature. It actually reminds me a lot of AOL back in the day, AIM, Instant Messenger, where you had your status message pretty much where people would see before they even got into chatting with you. It has so the features of this notes, it'll be seen in your DMs. It has a 24-hour duration. People could respond to you. They can, if they respond to you, it'll be shown in your DMs, how they respond to it. The only thing that it supports in these notes is just text and emojis at the current moment. We'll see, if this feature even lasts or if they add some other functionality to it. Because right now the text is very limiting. I think they allow only about like 60 characters, and that's including the emojis that are taking up the space. And characters, yes, we mean spaces too. Like I said, 24-hour duration. And you could choose who gets to see these notes. It's not that granular yet, but you get to share it with your close friends or people that you mutually follow. So essentially what in Facebook would be called friends. All right. So here we go. And then the other features that are going to be coming our way are candid stories. Actually, these next two features are about stories. So candid stories. Candid stories are essentially going to be a way for you to upload a story, and then the only way for people to see what you're doing at the moment is that if they also share this kind of candid story, and they get to kind of like go along with this little journey that you're on, if they want to participate in it. So basically, it requires someone else, wanting to see your story, and then also they also upload a story, which is actually pretty cool. Cool feature. Here's a couple of screenshots. Firstly, should have shown this before, but here's the notes right here in the DMs. And then here over here is the candid. So if somebody does a candid, you can respond to their candid by showing your story as well. And this is a little preview of how it'll look like in the stories here, a different option there. The other thing too that took them by storm, at least I saw a lot of people on my um, some of my followers or people that I follow actually on Instagram using was these nominations. If you look at where my mouse is here, it's the top image here. Where people ask you to upload a picture about a particular instance or something in your life, and you just go ahead and you do it. And now they added this extra feature on the bottom. If you see, it says pass it on. So then that way you can nominate somebody else to participate in this story upload trend. Next, we have the thing that I'm most excited about. Still hasn't rolled out yet. I don't think I haven't seen it on my Instagram. I haven't checked for updates today, but it's group profiles. So you'll create this new type of profile, and essentially people would be able to follow this group. And from my understanding, they'll be able to share content together with group members. So it'll be kind of an exclusive thing. So you have to be a member of this group in order to view its contents. And then everybody can communicate with each other within the group as well. I like this feature a lot, especially if you're looking for like-minded individuals. Right now, Instagram is very like individualistic. Yes, you could create group DMs, but that means you have to know the people. Um, so this is new, a nice new feature to get to know people that maybe, they're like a particular topic, especially like us, the people into tech, or people that just want to learn more about tech in general, right? So when that feature comes out, look out for the Metro Coder or technology group, just so that way we could share what's going on in the industry. After that, we have collaborative collections. This, I'm not sure if this is going to be really heavily used, but essentially, when you save content at this moment, it's only for you and yourself, and you get to put them in little buckets, if you will, and give them different, I guess you could call them folders, buckets. You can use that interchangeably, and then just store like your favorite posts, favorite reels, in different folders. But right now, it's only for the individual, and here it's going to be collaborative. So now you get to save content, and it'll be viewed by a group of people. So I don't know how that's gonna be used. I think it's a good idea. However, this feature, if it was up to me, would be something that gets put into group DMs. Because when you have a whole bunch of memes that are being sent back and forth, a whole bunch of different posts going back and forth, it could get overwhelming over time, and you have to scroll all the way up. It'd be nice if they had a feature that would just called like, let's say, shared attachments or something within the group, and then you could just quickly see like the shared content, and then you could kind of skip the wording, um, unless they've only replied to it or whatever. But that's just me thinking off top right now. Um, so the feature, I don't think it'll be heavily used independently, but I think it could be integrated into DMs and have some more use. So that concludes the Instagram updates that are current, which is the notes and what is coming in the near future. They haven't said anything about dates for the Facebook story updates or the group profiles or the collaborative collections. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for that and updates from Meta itself. All right, so going right after Instagram, we have this FTX scandal. If you didn't know, they arrested Sam Bankman-Fried, and he's being held arrested. He's arrested um, in Bahamas, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. Because he's a vegan and he's in. I don't know how this has anything to relate to it, but this is my crazy mind. He's vegan, and apparently his parents are petitioning for the prison to give him better quality care while he's being held by the Bohemian prison system, which is crazy. So here we go. So Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX arrested, and this article I just wanted to highlight it. Binance was once a rival of the FTX, and now and a possible savior, which I'll touch into because that's kind of a false narrative here. And now it's not trying to be its sequel. So the reason why I say why Binance is the possible savior is because they did actually some pretty. I think it's messed up to say the least. But what happened is that Binance FTX faced some issues financially, and Binance is definitely the competitor. It's in a competitive exchange with FTX. So they knew FTX needed help. They said, okay, we'll give you. We want 20% of the FTT asset that FTX was producing at the time. It was a token, a crypto token, and they own 20% of it. All of a sudden, one day they liquidated that 20%. Binance did, right? That caused a major shift in what was going on in the FTX exchange, because as we've learned now, is that FTX was over leveraging the money that was coming in. So what was happening is that people were investing their money and wanting to buy assets, but what FTX was doing was actually using that money to buy other assets and invest in other ventures, and not really investing in what the investors in the FTX exchange is complicated. But essentially, Binance was a wolf in sheep's clothing. Um, so they liquidated their 20% of FTT token. All of a sudden, now FTX needed to come out with money to exchange the FTT token for actual cash, because that's what happens, right? Like, give me one thing, I'll give you something else, right? That's the whole exchange. Now, what happens is that this causes a massive uh a massive wave of FTX customers to start trying to withdraw their money. What ended up happening is because FTX and the way that they were doing their investments, they eventually were tapped and they had no liquidity to really give people back their money. So they had to freeze it. And that's when we came across these issues. Well, what's going on right now is that Binance is facing some of the same hiccups as FTX. So one thing that is big is that Binance lost its auditor. And the auditor is very important because in crypto, these crypto exchanges aren't regulated yet. So there's no real telling as to like where the money is going. So just because you're asking an exchange, hey, I want, let's say 10,000 in Bitcoin, that doesn't mean that all of your $10,000 are going to Bitcoin and that you have 10,000 dollars of Bitcoin that was purchased and under your name. That you just gave them $10,000 and you're hoping that that's where the $10,000 are going. Anyway, so the only way to prove that at the point was there was this auditor. It was an international accounting firm named Mazars, and they verified what the cash reserves were in order for this exact issue that I described earlier. When people were asking for their money back in exchange for whatever crypto, they need to be able to have the money for that, right? So that auditor is gone. So now there's really no way, there's no third party to say, hey, this has been verified that this exchange, in this case, Binance, has X amount of dollars in reserves for you clients and for this amount of withdrawal. And so far, no company has wanted to replace those shoes of Mazars. So right now, Binance is just issuing their own reports. So you have to just trust them essentially to have the numbers right, and not to be fudging the numbers. Like I said, this thing is not regulated, and this is why it's going to Congress. It's this whole big deal. It's a whole cascading effect. Um, and this is causing, once again, people want to withdraw their money from these exchanges because, I mean, right now we're going through a recession. Things are increasing in price, and people just, they don't have they don't have the liquidity or the cash reserves to really be playing around in the market right now to hope that they get a huge boost in whatever crypto sensation is going on at the moment. So people want to withdraw their money, right? So according to this article from NPR, From Monday through Wednesday, $6 billion washed out of the exchange, according to Binance. Approximately 1.14 billion dollars were withdrawn on Tuesday alone. So this foreshadows what happened to other bankrupt exchanges in crypto that went bankrupt. FTX recently, we all know about it. Then we have Genesis, which was another crypto exchange that went belly up, and BlockFi. BlockFi went out of, went bankrupt as well. So what Binance did, as all the others did, was that they halted withdrawals of so-called stablecoin, US dollar coin, and for about 8 hours on Tuesday. So, I mean, things are getting real serious. People are not really trusting these exchanges. They want to withdraw their money, and it's not looking like these exchanges have that liquidity on hand, and they're just holding on by a thread. Like I said, FTX also with halted withdrawals from customers, and yeah, $8 billion, 8 billion of customers' money has disappeared for FTX, which is the big red flag right now. There's people. I mean, there's $8 billion. I mean, people were really investing, hoping to change their lives, spending their hard-earned cash, investing it into these exchanges, and this individual, Sam Bankman-Fried, and his other business partners, because it wasn't just him. They decided to over leverage this money from investors, and they took a risk. And this is what, and $8 billion is just not just a snap of a finger, just lost. It's tragic, but that's unfortunately what happened. All right, so on to the next story here. We have TikTok. If anybody wants to be dancing and all that stuff on this Chinese-owned social media company, we I think the days are counted, or they're numbered for TikTok. I've documented in the past, FCC, the FBI, they're all claiming that this is a national security issue. Uh, so let me get into it. So anyway, starting revelation happened. The U.S. Senate voted and passed to ban TikTok use on government devices. Now, this will be a first step because obviously government devices only. But if they're saying it's bad for government devices, I mean, we have to acknowledge that if it's not safe for government employees, what about the average user, right? Like every government device is probably using Google and Microsoft Bing search engine and all that stuff. So anyway, so the Senate passed that. It was unanimous. It still has to go through the House, and then it has to, if it gets past the House, it has to go to the president to be signed and put into law. This will be a major shift in, I mean, just Chinese-based companies really penetrating the American market. That's what I see. Because TikTok ultimately, I mean, it's really popular. It's really popular for the youth. It's been, I'm telling you that, like, it's that age gap of like under 18. I mean, TikTok is their thing. It's just super addictive. And the only problem that I see of it, is that it's just Chinese owned. It's not the problem that I see. Obviously, it's an app and it's going to be used regardless. And it has its pros and its cons. But our government sees it as a problem because this is a Chinese owned company. And what they're claiming is that since it's a Chinese based company, and here's a quote, in Alabama, Governor Kay Ivey said in a memo on Tuesday that data collected by TikTok could be subject to Chinese laws and allowed to be shared with Chinese Communist Party. A group of 15 Republican state attorneys general also called on Apple and Google this week to increase the age rating for the app. So TikTok just being a Chinese-based company, I think ByteDance is the parent company. That's the major red flag. They're saying that our data for American users is being stored on Chinese servers. It's been documented though that what ByteDance ended up doing was working with Oracle, and Oracle set up all the data centers for the data that's being collected on TikTok. Um, but our government is still worried about it. So they're kind of looking just for excuses just to ban this on a legal side. But so far, nothing has taken effect, right? So apparently, in the past, there have been other bills drafted aiming to ban TikTok. And there was like one pretty much identical to this one that have passed the Senate and House in previous years, but never signed into law, which is interesting, right? Because if that would have happened during the Trump administration, Trump was, I think, calling for the ban of TikTok. And then we have Biden. So, I mean, one of the two recently would have had to be the ones that are making that call ultimately. Um, so we'll see what happens with this bill here. It could be just like the other ones and just doesn't get passed at all. Or maybe the fine print was just adjusted and tuned so that way it could be signed into law. If it doesn't pass, there are other bills being drafted right now. For instance, we have one by Senator Marco Rubio, Republican from Florida. He seeks to ban the app from operating within the U.S. due to national security issues. So that one's a little bit more broader. That one I don't think is going to pass because that means that every citizen, um, it'll be pretty much outlawed. It'll be an illegal application to use, which is crazy. And this all goes to data privacy, protecting our data. Um, when you're using TikTok, if you look at the terms of service and the data that they're collecting from you, I mean, they're literally collecting everything. Their contacts, your payment information, I mean, all the bells and whistles. And then you have the filters that are on there. So now they're using you're literally uploading your biometrics information to them for them to be able to train data sets on. So, I mean, they're getting a lot of information. So this is a big shift on data collection. The big tech companies are obviously in the US, like Google, Apple, Oracle. That's just to name a few. But we've been the data collectors, and we've been ahead of the curve when it comes to that. And this is kind of actually related to side note, which is the latest U.S. chip ban, where they're limiting the capacity and the processing power of the chips that are being sold to China, which is going to impact their industry when it comes to machine learning and things of these nature and things of this nature. So this is going to be interesting to see how this goes, but I wouldn't recommend anybody using TikTok, especially if you're into privacy. I definitely wouldn't recommend it if you have a child. I would not let the child use that application. Or for that case, I wouldn't recommend any application, maybe YouTube Kids. But other than that, I mean, uploading their likeness up there, I mean, giving them a camera, giving them a microphone. I mean, we were dumb when we were young, so just have some caution, and they might hate you for it, but they're gonna love you when they're older. If you do limit their usage on these social media applications. All right, so after that, we have another. This is kind of related, and this has to do with our artificial intelligence, and a bigger issue with artificial intelligence that I think gets swept under the rug. And that's the ethics of these applications that are leveraging artificial intelligence, right? Um, I'm a computer science student, and I can tell you I was not asked to take a class in ethics in technology. I think that's a huge problem. I think that's a huge no-no. We'll see here why it should be something that's shared with other people, which is the ethics of technology, especially you, a person that is creating the technology. We should have a sense of responsibility here. So the article is titled Image Apps Like Lensa AI Are Sweeping the Internet and Stealing from Artists. So in summary, Lensa is an app, if you don't know, is an application where you get to upload some of your own images from different angles. And what it does is it uses those images to learn basically what your likeness is like, right? It doesn't apparently, this one in particular, Lensa, does not store your data on their servers. It does not keep any of that data, right? Some people say there is some terms of service in there that they can if they wanted to, but just use it with caution, people. Just, I mean, it's what is it? You want to look like a little superhero? I mean, come on. You could refrain from using that to keep yourself private on the internet. Anyway, so it spits out images for you and different themes. So what's going on is that there's an artist, Amy Stelladia. She's a Spanish illustrator. She's worked on Disney and Volt Comics, obviously other things. And she actually found that her images were being used on data sets that were training these artificial intelligence models. Um, and it's actually stable diffusion, I believe is what's being used. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I just don't have that here. But that's what's being used. And anyway, so she found that her data or her art was being used, and that's what was inspiring these images to be produced, right? Because of artists' hard work and their creativity, then this AI is spitting images with that similar creativity and styling from the data that they were able to collect from these artists. Now, how did this person discover that their images were being used? And there's a website that was started by some activists. It's the website is haveibeentrained.com. I'll put a link in the description below. Haveibeentrained.com, essentially you register and it'll check stable diffusion training data sets if your images exist in there. And if they do, you can opt out of it. However, this isn't a bulletproof solution. This only checks one provider of the data that is being used by Lensa. Well, actually, by the Stable Diffusion training system, which is the back end of Lensa, the back end of all their applications as well. So this tool was created in partnership with uh, so Spawning is the activist group, and they partnered with Leon, an open network AI nonprofit. And what they did, this Leon, is they built many of the data sets on which the generators are being trained on. But they felt a duty that if they're collecting data, they want to give people the option to make sure, hey, are my images being used in this data set? Is my information being used in this data set? And if so, give me the option to take it out if I want to. Because at the end of the day, Lensa is charging people to upload their images and for it to spit out these, graphical illustrations, which is being inspired by real artists' artwork, and they're not getting a dime for any of this, right? So, Leon, I applaud you guys. I have it off to you. You took the ethical approach. You're doing good business where you're giving people the option to opt out. Not too many companies are doing this. Obviously, this is only one company that's providing the data sets. There are plenty more out there. So just because you use this tool, haveibeentrained.com, and you opt out there, that doesn't mean that you're in the clear there. There has to be something that's a little bit more bulletproof for artists, especially if they upload their content online. Um, there just has to be a better solution. And I think this opting out and people making the data sets a little bit more, let's say not accessible, but allow you to search like, hey, is my art there? Registering, proving that you are the artist behind it, and then removing it from that data set. What would be even better though is that if you do opt in, try to get a piece of the pie. Whoever's using this data set, I mean, this is where NFTs come into play. This is where, ledger technology comes into play to prove ownership. And in that way, people could get paid for their actual intellectual property. So, and this is a huge, we're now starting to ask the right questions. I don't think this is very popular though, but we are asking the right questions, which is where is the training data coming from? And can I opt out of it? Out of it, because you are making money off of my data. I don't want to help you contribute to that because you're using my information. Like that's such a violation. But yeah, this is good. And here's a that have I been trained website here. You can enter text, you can upload an image, and then you'll be able to opt out of it. Once again, the website is haveibeentrained.com. I'll put the link in the description below. And on to other news, we have that Apple SOS feature. I think this is really cool. This has to do with them teaming up with the satellite company. I covered it previously. This satellite company, essentially the feature is you have an iPhone 14, you don't have self-service, you don't have Wi-Fi, you have line of sight with the space. You could potentially use one of the satellites in this partner with Apple. And what you'll be able to do is send emergency information, text-based information via these satellites. It gets sent back down to Earth to like a relay station, and then they'll be able to process it and get help for you. And there's an actual use case here. So far, there was one case in Alaska, and here we have a more popular and covered story here where there's a little bit more detail. And the title of this is from TechCrunch. Apple's emergency SOS via satellite prompts rescue after car goes off of a cliff. In summary, there were two individuals. They ended up driving off of a cliff, very steep cliff. Apparently, there's a high mortality rate with people that go off this cliff. They had no cell service at all. Here we go. They were injured with no cell coverage. They were about 19 miles into the forest and possibly injured. The pair made the decision to try out the new satellite communication service introduced in September for the iPhone 14 and the iPhone 14 Pro. Another thing to note, this is free for you for now, for 2 years. So if you are in an emergency situation like that, I mean, use it. Please use it. So this happened. Here's some screenshots of how the the application works. And as I was explaining to you, the way that this works, you point your phone, you try to connect to one of these satellites, and when a connection is established, their location is sent along with any circumstance, like whether someone is hurt. The message then goes to the relay service, and then it's passed to the appropriate authorities, right? In this case, it was the LA County Fire Department sheriffs and SAR team in Mount Rose. And here you can see an image of the helicopter, which came to the latitude and longitude, which was accurately given. Here they say the call center gave us the accurate latitude and longitude for the victims. So that really helped out a lot. Um, and this seems to be an awesome feature. It did work out, and even the emergency personnel were saying that they have satellite phones and they don't have that accuracy or the capability. And the fact that this fits right directly into your pocket, I mean, that is amazing. So people are being saved because of this technology. It's really exciting to see. I wonder what they're going to eventually charge for this, or if they're going to just discontinue it altogether. But I think this is a really good plus in order for more people to be saved, and a lot more accidents, people coming back from accidents like this, a lot less fatalities out there. So big thumbs up to Apple coming out with this service, because so far it has been saving lives. um, and here there's an interesting note in this article that I didn't even know about. So apparently Link promises a regular exchange of data for um, SMS and emergency alert purposes. And this I found, so the third largest cell phone provider in the United States, T-Mobile, which recently purchased Sprint. T-Mobile is partnering with Starlink to enable something like the iPhone 14 emergency service to subscribers. So it looks like there's going to be an added feature in there if you wanted to. It'll also be interesting to see this get standardized. So that way, like I said, more people being saved from life-threatening issues. And just because you don't have self-service, you shouldn't, you should be helped if there's a satellite in the area. So we're really leveraging now we're really in space. We have these satellites. It's become more cost effective. I mean, it's really cool. It's really cool to see where things are going and the positive use cases. All right, so the next story here is Elon, and Elon getting a little hurt and then a little offended and taking off a feature on Twitter. So he removed Twitter Spaces for a little while. He was upset. He was pretty much being grilled by journalists in this space. I don't even know. First off, I don't know how this guy has the time to work and then use the application, because it seems like ever since he's bought Twitter, he's like, Mars, what's that? Tesla, what's that? This guy has literal, like, he just said, whatever, I want to get Twitter profitable. I just spent 44 M's on this. Let me get working on this real quick. So he's been like probably the most active user on there. I don't know how the man has time to work and tweet at the same time. But he was in one of these Twitter Spaces. Twitter Spaces, if you don't know what it is, Twitter Spaces are these audio rooms. Essentially, it's a copycat of the Clubhouse app if you used it. What it is that it has these open forums where people host these audio only rooms, and you get to talk and have discourse in them and share links. It's really cool. It's really cool. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. And check out Clubhouse too. Clubhouse was a pretty good application. But the fact there's more users on Twitter. So use Twitter Spaces if you have a Twitter account. If not, Clubhouse. Um, so yeah, so Elon Musk, he joined one of these rooms, and journalists started grilling him because I don't know if you know, but there was a Twitter account named at Elon, what is it called? At Elon Jet. It was a Twitter account. It was using literal public information, and someone wrote pretty much an an application to essentially know where Elon Musk's private jet was going in real time, and it would constantly update on Twitter his location. Recently, there was some footage that came out with Elon Musk's son. Apparently, his child was being followed by a crazy stalker who thought they were trailing Elon Musk himself. There's a video out there with the driver filming this so-called stalker. Um, but the real interesting part, which we get into conspiracy theory realm, but this was noted in the article, is that the LAPD, the Los Angeles Police Department, said that nobody ever filed a police report at all. So no police report, but this apparently happened. And Elon Musk was so uh, thought that this at Elon Jet account was maybe one of the culprits, because maybe his son was on a flight and then they followed, whatever happened with that jet, and followed the car, and they really wanted to meet Elon Musk and said they saw his son, and something harmful could have happened. So Elon Musk updated the terms on Twitter and banned that at Elon Jet account. Apparently, the update has to do with people sharing information that they don't. They pretty much didn't give consent to. So Elon Musk wasn't consenting to this account sharing his live updates, and yeah, he got that's what happened. The reporters were asking him why ban the account, to reinstate the account. Elon Musk got frustrated, left the room. Shortly thereafter, it was reported he left. He left the space. He shut down the spaces feature. Later, there was also a worker that mentioned that the feature was shut down, alluding to it was purposeful. Elon Musk tweeted that there was a feature or a bug that was discovered and that it needed to be fixed. So I don't know. I think he just got into a fit of rage and was like, "You guys aren't listening to me. You're not following my narrative. So you guys must comply." The thing that he was, complaining about ultimately, right? Uh, So yeah, that's what happened. And thereafter, anybody that was speaking or asking questions in Twitter about that at Elon Jet account to reinstate it, or even publicizing the fact that the LAPD said that they didn't have any written record or report that was filed for that incident with his son. People were getting their Twitter accounts suspended and banned. So some interesting some interesting moves by Elon. Elon says one thing, then does another thing. I get it. It was a loved one. It is a loved one. But there's no report. So misinformation, disinformation, whatever have you. Um, what do you guys think? Do you think that he did the right thing, banning the account, shutting down Spaces temporarily? No, it is back up now. Um, what do you think about Elon Musk in general, about this whole Twitter deal? So that's it. Those are the articles that I have for today. That's an update in a most recent update of things to come. The next one I already have lined up. We have a couple of cool things in robotics. But yeah, I think the major takeaway here is watch for your privacy. Watch the social media apps that you're on. The information that you're freely giving away. We have the commonality here. Elon Musk's jet had public information available. Then people were able to write a program to track where the plane is going, right? Then you have TikTok. TikTok being banned. Why? Because our data is being used by the Communist Party in China to potentially hurt the America some way somehow. Then we have Lensa, these AI art apps. They're stealing data apparently from artists, not giving them any money whatsoever, but yet they're able to produce money here. Then you have, FTX really has nothing to do with data privacy, but it does have to do with the ethics of technology, because people were thinking these crypto exchanges were going to be decentralized, but this was an extremely centralized issue that happened. Um, this is what big banks do. They leverage our money. If people were just more knowledgeable about not using exchange and just simply purchasing the asset and putting it in their own wallet and managing it themselves, they would have been fine and been able to get their assets and to get the cash and exchange them for for what they are actually worth. So this is all about education, the ethics of certain tech companies and what they're going to do with your information, with your money. Remember, these are businesses at the end of the day. Elon Musk is a businessman at the end of the day. Um, I think the only one of the positive stories here is Apple and their SOS system. Um, just be careful out there, people. Be conscious of how your data is being used and where your money is going to. Don't just trust this crypto craze. It's supposed to be decentralized, and using exchanges centralizing all the people's cash, which is crazy. So that's it from me. This is Metro Coder. You can follow me, like and subscribe to the video. You can follow me on Instagram at Metro Coder. I'm on Twitter as well. However, I mostly use Instagram. Feel free to DM me. Feel free to leave comments below. Let's have a conversation about these things. And if there are any topics you want me to cover, let me know. Yeah, take it easy. Have a great day. Till the next one.